A little rhino wandered off from the herd. The searing African sun beat down on the savanna. His mother had taken a momentary break to munch on some grass, but that had been enough time for the curious calf to wander quite a distance. The baby was captivated by the bright flowers that swayed in the wind, and he didn't even notice, as he hopped to one place and then another, that he had wandered into a different part of the savanna. The long grass gently swished around his little feet, and a chorus of exotic birds sang in the distance. As he traveled, the calf encountered several types of animals: gazelles, meerkats, and giraffes. They all watched the little rhino with caution. His being alone in the savanna was dangerous, to say the least. Without warning, the baby halted as something was amiss in the background. He started to feel like there was something thicker hanging in the air. The sounds of the savanna became muffled. The thrashes of the tall grass caught the little rhino's attention, and his heart began to beat faster. A bird in the distance called out a sharp warning to all the other creatures nearby. Termites scurried inside their earthen tower, while small rodents dug deeper into their holes. The calf had his mother's instincts and already recognized the threats of the African savanna. Within the herd, he'd seen adult rhinos become alert in the presence of predators. Lions crept out from behind the bushes, one by one. Their muscular bodies glistened in the sunlight, and their eyes were bright with the excitement of the hunt. The pride encircled the little rhino, closing in on him in measured time. The calf peered around, instinctively looking for shelter in the herd, but around him were only lions, 8 adult predators, each larger than himself. In that instant, a primordial survival instinct kicked in for the young rhino. Fear did not vanish, but it was accompanied by a natural urge to defend his life. His posture changed. He dug his legs into the dirt, ready to defend. The biggest lioness took the initiative, lunging forward, but the instinctive calf turned abruptly and attempted to stab her with his tiny horn. The lioness leapt back, unprepared for this sort of response from the young quarry. Most baby animals would freeze in terror or attempt to escape. Dust kicked up in the struggle and finally settled into the afternoon sun, clumps falling between drops of sweat that ran down the little rhino's sides as he began to pant. In the distance, silhouettes of antelopes froze in place, watching. Vultures soaring high overhead descended lower, sensing a potential meal. This gave the calf added confidence, and he kept defending his body, turning around and attempting to keep all of the predators in his line of sight. Whenever a lion or lioness wandered too close, he shook his head menacingly and attempted to hit them. His puny horn may not have been powerful enough to inflict serious damage, but it was enough, at least, to mean the predators stayed away. The baby rhino started emitting warning sounds that were far softer than those of adult rhinos, but loud enough to display his defiance. He pawed the ground, kicking up dust and exhibiting the defensive behavior so characteristic of his kind. The lions, muscles rippling below their golden coats, glided like seasoned hunters, their tails combed back, nervous, clearly focused, and tense. The youngest pride member shifted impatiently from paw to paw, his naivete contrasting with the deliberate motions of the older lions. The lions were confused by such a strange response from the calf. Young prey was usually easy to work, but this calf was putting up an uncharacteristic fight. Their hunting instincts kicked in, and they started making fake lunges, one after the next, attempting to exhaust him. The calf was starting to tire, despite the natural toughness he possessed. His young body was not yet prepared for such an extended battle. Amid this tussle, one of the younger lions took a chance and scratched one of the baby's sides, causing him to let out an ear-piercing cry of pain that could be heard across the savanna. This cry was heard by his mother, who had spent a long time hunting for her calf. A huge female rhino sprinted across the savanna, her maternal instincts kicking in. She forced her way through the acacia bushes, snapping branches and leaving a broad wake in the long grass. Her tree trunk-like legs sent up clouds of red African soil, and her heavy breathing sent the small creatures scurrying for cover. Her gray skin glistened with sweat, appearing almost black in the bright sunlight. Seeing the pride surrounding her baby, she quickly took up his cause. And with a defiant roar, she charged into the ring of predators, scattering them with her bulk. The lions retreated, but did not relent, still walking about, searching for a weakness in the defense. Now, the mother protected her calf with her body, and he continued to display remarkable resilience for his age. The mother rhino drove the lions off with mighty charges, and the calf stood nearby, still prepared to fight. The predators were resourceful and experienced. They knew it was only a matter of time before the rhinos would tire, and they struck from all angles, expertly avoiding the heavy horn of the mother. For a split second, a lion almost got to the calf, but he acted within a heartbeat, hitting the predator in the nose with his tiny horn and forcing them to walk away. It was an inspired act of instinct, and it paid off. The lions grew even warier. The scent of the herd of rhinos came on the hot wind. Each footfall shook the ground ever so slightly. Even the smallest of the savanna's fauna could feel the small quake. Little birds flew out of the bushes as the approaching giants thundered forward. Faint dust danced up within a cloud visible for miles. When they arrived, the rhinos formed a half circle like a living barrier, their impressive horns and massive bodies a threat to the hungry predators. The lions were gradually pushed back, yet driven by hunger, they waited for the right opportunity to pounce. Then the roar of engines pierced the air. The park rangers' jeeps were on the way. The rangers drove slowly, avoiding any unnecessary noise. The sun beat against their uniforms, their colors a reflection of the grasslands around them. They all wore radios on their belts that crackled with infrequent messages from the base. With the humans in the picture, the lions finally retreated, heading out in search of easier prey. The rangers pulled up a safe distance away. An old vet, seeing the calf's condition, took out his weather-beaten leather bag, which had served him well in many emergencies. After waiting for the herd to settle down a little, he crept in closer. Acclimated to the presence of rangers, the rhinos permitted him to check the baby. The veterinarian cleaned the calf's wounds, applied bandages, and injected him with antibiotics to stave off infection. The mother stayed nearby the whole time, observing the man's actions closely. Satisfied the baby would be okay, the rangers went back to their duties, leaving the baby rhino in the care of the herd. The herd of rhinos made its way slowly toward the closest waterhole as the rangers drove away. The sun was starting to set, and the savanna was bathed in golden light. The little rhino, limping a bit, but with his head held high, walked next to his mother. His injuries had been attended to, and adrenaline from the battle still ran in his bloodstream. A gaggle of pink flamingos flew overhead, their cries sounding a note of closure to this unusual day. That day, nature put on a wonderful show to demonstrate how even the littlest of rhinos can stand up to the largest of threats. His instinctive resistance, the protective presence of his mother, and the timely intervention of her and the herd contributed to his survival in one of the most perilous moments of his life.